Herzlich willkommen zu Living Free, dein Podcast für ein freies, authentisches und erfülltes Leben. Mein Name ist Tanja Hirsch und ich hoffe, dass du dich nach jeder Folge ein kleines bisschen freier und inspiriert fühlst, deiner Intuition zu folgen. Herzlich willkommen zurück im Podcast. Ich freue mich sehr, dass du wieder mit dabei bist und ja, ich wollte mich erst noch bedanken für das ganze tolle Feedback, das mich erreicht hat zum Selbstliebe-Special im Mai, zu den Podcastfolgen, zur Self-Love Immersion. Das hat wirklich ganz viel bei euch bewegt und von Herzen danke dafür. Ich freue mich immer riesig zu hören, wenn ihr was für euch verändern konntet, transformieren konntet und ja, von ganzem Herzen danke. Und falls du nicht dabei sein konntest am 26. Mai, hast du trotzdem noch die Möglichkeit, dir die Self-Love Immersion zu sichern und das in deinem Tempo zu machen. Und du kannst das Vollmondritual einfach am nächsten Vollmond im Juni machen. Das sind alles Aufzeichnungen, die du in deinem Tempo dann in Ruhe machen kannst. Ich verlinke das auf jeden Fall in den Shownotes. Und heute erwartet dich ein ganz besonderes Interview mit einer sehr inspirierenden und unglaublich tollen Person, die ich in Bali kennenlernen durfte, Luciana. Sie hält Kakaozeremonien mit all ihrer Leidenschaft, all ihrem Herzblut hier in Bali und ja, wir sprechen über ihre Geschichte, wie sie dazu gekommen ist, jetzt in Bali zu leben und ihre Leidenschaft zur Berufung zu machen. Und ja, ich finde diese Geschichte unglaublich inspirierend und spannend, weil sie uns zeigt, was möglich ist, wenn wir unserem Herzen folgen und wenn wir uns nicht von Erwartungen von anderen und von unseren eigenen Limitationen und Ängsten klein halten lassen. Und ja, sie ist losgegangen für ihren Traum und ist so dieses lebende Beispiel dafür, dass alles möglich ist, wenn wir den Mut haben, unserem Herzen zu folgen. Und sie erzählt von der Magie des Kakaos, warum Kakaozeremonien so kraftvoll sind, was die Geschichte dahinter ist. Und wenn du an einer Kakaozeremonie mit mir teilnehmen möchtest, ich gebe am nächsten Vollmond, also am Donnerstag, den 24. Juni, eine Kakaozeremonie in München, in der Nähe von der Isar, in der Natur, wo wir Kakao zu uns nehmen werden und ja, da ein wunderschönes Ritual draus machen. Wenn du da dabei sein möchtest, verlinke ich die Infos in den Shownotes. Du findest sie auch auf meiner Webseite unter den Tagesretreats. Ich freue mich, wenn du da dabei bist und ansonsten wünsche ich dir jetzt ganz, ganz viel Freude mit diesem Podcast-Interview mit Luciana. I'm so happy to have you on my podcast, Luciana. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's my honor.
So the first question I would like to ask you is, what does living free mean to you?
Living free to me is when I can be myself. So I don't think I can do that 100% of the time, but I can say with some happiness that I've been doing it more and more in the past years. And so living free is me being able to express myself without fear, without guilt, and with ease and grace. Yeah, that's basically.
Beautiful. And you really embody this. There's so much joy and so much lightness around you. So beautiful.
Thank you. But for me, the hard part is to express, like, let's say, the negative emotions or to say no, you know? Mm-hmm. And this is what I've been learning the past years, and it brings me a lot of freedom to be able to, have boundaries, healthy boundaries with, like I said, with ease and grace and with no guilt. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. And that's the hard part, right? But it gives you a lot of freedom and space. So before we dive into the work you're sharing with all of your heart that I was part of a few weeks ago, I would love to get to know you a little bit. So we dive back into your past and maybe you can share a little bit about your story, where you come from, what's your background, and how did you end up in Bali?
So I'm Brazilian, and I've been in Bali for 5.5 years already. It feels like it was yesterday. It's hard to believe that it's 5.5 years. But yeah, I think you've noticed that time in Bali is very relative and different, yeah, from time everywhere else that I've been, at least.
Totally.
So I've always been a sensitive person, and I thought that I was a weak person because these two can be very misunderstood, yeah, in the Western culture. I thought I wasn't strong, but now I know I'm strong.
It's your superpower.
Yeah. But I was very sensitive. So I knew that, let's say, the typical jobs and stuff weren't for me, but I also kind of had to work and stuff. So I tried to find a way that wasn't so, how do you say, so suppressing or so much pressure. So my first job in Brazil was to teach Brazilians how to speak English in a private course, and I stayed there for 4.5 years. But it still had pressure, even if I chose my schedule and everything. But I had to perform, and we were talking before. Yeah, you said you were also a teacher, and I had this also teenage students, which was super hard for me because they wouldn't behave and they like. Yeah, it's that phase that we've always been through, and we've been one, yeah? And we know that sometimes, yeah, they can be rebel and disrespectful, and yeah, it was super hard. I think I had a little burnout, but yeah, a little moderate, and then I stopped it, and then my brother is a big photographer in Brazil, fashion and advertising, and then I worked for him for 10 years as his agent and his producer. So I would prepare everything for the shootings, and and we did a lot. And for big companies, there was a year that he was photographing for the cover of Elle magazine. Out of 12 covers, he did 9. Yes, and we were doing everything together and like big advertising campaigns and stuff. So it was super dynamic and fun, and me and my brother have always gotten along like really, really well. But still, it was lacking purpose, you know? I was still working for an industry that is feeding things that I don't resonate with. Let's say selling this beauty that is unattainable, this beauty that everyone is dying for, selling products that are not so healthy, kind of lying to people what's, you know, like what's in the product and where it comes from, all these things. So it was super dynamic, fun, but I was like, I need purpose in my life.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and that's when I started to study coaching from distance in the USA. I did a transformational coaching course, and then yeah, a few years later I was like, I'm done. I'm gonna go to Bali. I had been here for 2 weeks, just like vacation. And I just from day one, I was just like, my God, is this heaven? Like, pinch me. Did I die? Did I wake up? Seriously, sometimes I would doubt it. I was like, no, I think this is heaven. I think I died, you know? Also because it's so different. Like, the vegetation is very similar to Brazil, but it's like, it's a different world in so many ways. And from the west also, this was the first time I came to the east also, so went straight to Bali. So it was like I was in awe the whole time, and I was like, I belong here somehow. Wow. In Brazil, you know, most of the people drink and party a lot. It's in the culture, and I've never done these things. I've always gone to bed early, woken up early, and like a few years before coming to Bali, I was drinking green juice, stopped eating meat, and people thought I was nuts, you know? So when I came here, especially to Ubud, where everyone is doing exactly the same, I'm like, oh my God.
I'm not a unicorn anymore.
Exactly. It's like there's a place where everyone is like me. So then I went back to Brazil, and then I had to kind of close so many doors, stop working with my brother, also to start studying the coaching, all these things to prepare myself to kind of, I had a dog, he was old, I waited for him to pass, broke up a relationship, like closing all the doors, spent 4 months with my parents because I hadn't lived there for 10 years because I was in Sao Paulo. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm ready, and I came by myself.
So powerful.
Yeah, with all my things, and here I am.
And what made you move to Bali? Was it just the feeling and the knowing that you belong there, or did you have a vision what you want to create in Bali? Was it clear? Or
No
did you just...
vision. It was just a feeling. I get goosebumps with your question. Oh my God. It was this feeling that, like I said, it's like I belong here. This is my place. This is where I feel like that that everyone else has the same essence. I don't know. Like it's easy. It's effortless. It's magical. It's fluid. It's kind. I don't know. But with words, I cannot explain to you. But this feeling so deep in the heart, like I've never gotten attached to places. I get attached to people. You know, I'm a Latin, I'm a Brazilian, but not to places. And I remember leaving Bali after that vacation, and I still have the goosebumps here. And the tears, I was on the plane waiting to take off, and the tears just running down my eyes. And I was like, what? 2 weeks in a place and I'm crying here.
I get goosebumps too.
Exactly. So it was like there was a calling. And in Brazil, it took me, because after we broke up, me and my ex, took me, and I was like grieving a lot, suffering a lot. It took me almost a year to kind of finally like, no, stop that, like just go to Bali. What are you still doing here? But it was beautiful. I don't know if you've read this book about this nurse that was taking care of dying patients, the top 5 regrets of the dying.
I love that.
And the first one was I wish I'd lived a life according to my standards, to my truth, instead of living a life to, let's say, please others. And then when I read this one thing, it was even not the book itself, it was like a magazine that was talking about the book, you know, just an article. And when I read that one, I'm like, I'm going to buy my ticket now.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to die without doing this, you know. And then that's when I came.
I loved it so much. And right now I'm doing a Dharma coaching program. So I'm going to help people to discover their Dharma. And it's exactly what you've done it intuitively, that you follow these breadcrumbs of excitement. And you can't even explain it with words, but it's like your soul is knowing and calling you to go to places. And then you can't, it doesn't matter if this purpose is so big, bigger than yourself, then everything else falls out of you. You know, it's like shedding your layers. And if someone says, don't do it, it's not possible, you're like, you have no idea what I feel inside.
And
like,
I think you don't even have a choice, right?
Yeah.
Because it was 2.5 years from when I came to when I moved back. I mean, when I moved. You know, 2.5 years, but this seed was so strong in my heart that it was just like, that's the only thing that I know, you know.
Wow. And I think we all have this seed inside of ourselves. We have this subtle little feeling where our soul is calling us, but we are so easily distracted by our minds and of expectations of others that we dim the seed, we keep it small, we don't allow it to grow, but if we start watering it, this whole massive tree can grow out of it, and then that's when your purpose starts to spread, and when you get into service, and it's not about yourself anymore, it's about sharing your gifts with the world. And that's my mission at the moment, to help people to find the seed and to water it and to see the gifts that they have, because we're so good with dimming our lights.
Exactly.
But that's not what we're here for.
That is so needed in this world, you know, because since we're kids, we learn how to become someone, but someone else, right?
Yeah.
Because who we are apparently is not enough, because you have to achieve this and learn this, and, you know, and many things that we like. Let's say I speak for myself. I was a creative child in Brazil. Like, oh, it's cute, but that's not gonna give you money, you know. So, and I think the mind really takes into consideration like the society, the family beliefs and everything, and that's why I think I procrastinated so much with this 2.5 years. Of course, I had to close all the chapters, but there was a period, at least the last year or the last 6 months, that I was like procrastinating, you know, like.
Yeah, because everyone else is not doing this.
No.
So you think something is wrong with you,
exactly.
and you take yourself too serious to think you have a bigger mission on this planet.
Exactly.
But you're so new. You just had to see this light, right?
Exactly.
And Bali showed you this tree is gonna grow so big.
Yes, and I had no idea. I came so unpretentious. Like I didn't have like you said,
A plan.
A plan. No. The plan is to go there because I felt that. Period.
So how did it unfold from them? You decided to move to Bali, and then how did the tree grow?
So I arrived and the feeling was still there. It's not that I got here. You know, sometimes when you fall in love and then the guy lives in the other side of the world, and then you meet him again after, let's say, 6 months, and then it's a different person. It didn't happen to me in Bali. It was exactly the same. I was like, each day until now, I'm so grateful to be here. Of course, I'm human. I'm not perfect. I still brought myself, and I have to deal with my emotions and my past, whatever. But since day one, I was like, no, this is the right thing, But then I gave myself like, okay, I'll be 6 months at least just playing, just like being myself, just following what makes me happy, I had a little bit of money. I had this rent from my apartment in São Paulo. And it was at least enough for me to pay my food and my rent here. And then I forgot to mention, I also did yoga Ayurvedic massage. It's actually the opposite. That's in Portuguese. In English is Ayurvedic yoga massage. So I had that. So I quickly offered some popular yoga teachers here for free and stuff. And I say, if you like my massage, just offer it. I mean, refer me to your students. And they started doing that, so that would be my extra.
Nice.
But other than that, I was just following the flow. I gave myself that permission because my family is super, super loving, but it's a Latin family. They are nosy, they tell you what to do, and the whole family comes to convince you and to show, and my mom is super strong and controlling. So when I came to Bali, she said that I was the selfish person that she's ever seen in her life, that I just thought of me, and she was aging and my dad was sick, and how could I dare to be so selfish, So then I said, okay, 6 months just to see who I am, because in the end of the day, I was leaving also mostly to please my family, even though my life was still good, comfortable, fun. But I didn't know myself that well, because I had to kind of always do what they wanted in the end of the day.
And so many people do that, right?
Yes,
and we don't realize.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the natural thing.
Really courageous that you did that. Really courageous.
Still now, my mom can't understand my siblings. They miss me tremendously, and I miss them. But still, it's hard to understand if you've never done it, and if you've. I understand them. But so I gave myself 6 months. I'm just going to go with the flow. And I ended up in this cacao ceremony. And a friend of mine, I get goosebumps again, a friend of mine from the US, he said, Luciana, I went to this cacao ceremony, and I think you're going to love it. I'd never heard of cacao ceremony before. 5 years ago, not many people knew,
No.
And funny, because they come from Central America. And I'm from Brazil, South America, and I'd never heard it before. And then I said, what is that? He said, well, people drink chocolate, and there's music, and you feel a lot of love, overwhelming love. And I'm like, okay, music, chocolate, and love. Why would I not try it? I like to sing, and then wow. I went, but I was a bit hesitant because I've never done drugs or anything. So I'm like, what's in that cacao? They're super happy. They're super in love. I didn't drink it the first day.
Really?
That's so funny, right? And everyone who comes to my ceremony, even if it's the first day, they go for it. But I was so I don't know. I have to confess. Exactly. But then I loved the singing so much, and the vibe, and then I was there every week. The second time I started drinking it, and I never stopped. But the singing and the feeling, it's
so powerful.
Yeah, and then I was there every week, and I'm like, I just want to be your volunteer, guys. I want to whatever you need, I'm here. So I was there every week, welcoming the people, charging the money, blah, 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 and helping them. And And I did that for a year. But the most beautiful thing was that I thought I wasn't able to sing so well anymore. I thought I'd lost my voice for singing. And I think I also never had my voice for expressing myself, yeah? So 2 things at the same time, being in Bali, yeah? Something that I really wanted. And then singing every week, drinking cacao, releasing a lot. And then my voice started to become strong and beautiful. And I was like, what? I'm singing again.
Wow.
And this was such a joy, like to be able to harmonize and sing and like, wow, this is back, you know? Like I did this when I was a kid, teenager. And then it was gone, you know? It was all about making money and then, yeah, and then I wanted to learn an instrument because I didn't want to sing, like depend on somebody, yeah, to sing. And then I started learning the guitar. And then 4 months later, a friend of mine invited me to hold a Cacao Ceremonie in her festival in Europe. I was going to be there already in Budapest. And I said yes. I said, well, just get somebody to play with me because I played like crap because I had started 4 months before. But I can lead it, and if this person is good, it's going to sound okay. But not just me playing. And then couple Skype calls with this girl, and we vibed, and then I got to Budapest. We rehearsed one day, and then next day ceremony, 70 people in the room, all crying,
oh my God,
singing, crying, and then I'm like, yeah, this is it, you know.
Oh, so if you take yourself back to this moment, the first time when you stepped onto this cacao ceremony, how did you feel? Were you nervous? What were your thoughts? How did you feel before, during, and after this ceremony?
Yes, super, super nervous, but like it's something that I love so much that the nervousness couldn't stop me, you know, because it was like I knew it was worth it. And then kind of shaky and like, but then I'd been to so many by then, every week for a year. It's a lot. So it was kind of, I memorized it kind of, you know. And then during it, like seeing the reaction of people, like people crying and people sharing like so vulnerably. And I was like, wow, like this is... sometimes it's hard to grasp because I know also it's not me. I mean, it is me because of course I'm a good space holder, I have my personality, but yet I think when people gather in the name of something higher, magic happens. If it's whether it's with me, with somebody else, you know. And
you're the vessel that flows through, and you hold the space, but it's also something bigger.
Yeah, it's happening regardless, you know. But just because I stepped in, or because I honored my purpose, my heart, and I took a step, you know. But then everything else just happens regardless.
I love that so much.
Yeah. And then but I got nervous for many times, but now I've sung like to the same festival. I came back 1 or 2 years later, and it was much bigger.
Wow.
And it was in Spain for hundreds of people. And then in the beginning I was like, oh my God. But then like a moment that I started singing the first song, then I was like loving it, like woo. So now I seldom get nervous, but yeah, it's amazing. The more you do it, the more relaxed you are.
Yeah, I love that. And sometimes we think these people that stepped into their purpose and that they're living their dreams, they're not nervous.
They don't have fear.
Yeah, but everyone has it. And I remember my first full moon ceremony I held in Sri Lanka. I wanted to cancel it before because I was so afraid. I was so nervous. I thought I can't speak a word. And I didn't know how many people would come, so I looked at the paper on how many people were signed up, and it was no one in the list. So I thought, yes, I can cancel it. I can just... And then I went onto the roof of where the ceremony happened, and it was 25 or 29 people. So it was a huge circle. And I was like, shit, I can't go back now, but I don't want to. And my fear was holding me back and keeping me small. But every time I have the feeling the excitement before and the fear before pushes you to the space where you can just be a vessel for pure
Crazy
channeling, and sometimes these words just flow out and I don't know where they come from. But I need this fear before to really step into it, and after I never felt so great.
Exactly, after it's just like, wow, did this just happen before my eyes? And this was, I initiated this, and I can contribute to the world like that. But at the same, it's not like an ego thing.
No.
I mean, it can come, of course. I'm not enlightened, but it's but it's like, okay, I know that it's much bigger than me, but if I hadn't initiated, this would not have happened. And it's like, wow.
And that's what I loved so much about your cacao ceremony. I think it was the most powerful I've ever been, especially also because there were a lot of men in the circle, and seeing men sharing from a place of true vulnerability and from their heart was so empowering. And I think the world needs this so much, to allow the men also to be soft and not always be strong and hold everything inside, but to share their emotions. It was so beautiful.
I'm very fortunate. I get a lot of men in my ceremonies. I think it's because I grew up with my brothers and my cousins, and I've always like I got along better with dad than with mom, and then with grandpa than with grandma, and then with my godfather than my... I've been so lucky in this sense that somehow I just love to have... I mean, and I love women too. Like, since I was very little, I had besties. I've always had like girlfriends my whole life around me, and always supporting each other, not like putting each other down or jealousy. I don't know. But somehow I brought it to my work, like it's very balanced. A lot of men, a lot of women, because, it's so needed also,
for so beautiful.
For the men to have a place, a safe place to be, and to also, like you said, be vulnerable and not be judged for that. Be held.
Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're very
So
welcome.
if someone's listening and they think, what are they talking about?
Yes,
music? What is this cacao ceremony? Can you share a little bit about the background of the cacao ceremony?
So as far as history knows, it's happening, like this has been happening for around 4,000 years, and it started with the Olmec people, like before Mayans, in Central America and Mexico also. And what the myths say, because you don't have everything written, right? But what the myths say is that every time these people were feeling disconnected from nature and from their own nature, they just like, okay, we need to do something about it. And then they would sit in a circle, and then the cacao would come from the forest. They would have cacao, and then they would realign and reconnect with nature, with their own nature, with their essence and the essence of everything. And they called cacao the food of the gods. And we call it a heart opener, Cacao really opens up your heart because of the substances that it releases in your brain. Dopamine, oxytocin, so it's like, you feel like you belong, you feel love, and that's why everyone loves chocolate, or almost everyone on earth loves chocolate, right? So it's that, but multiplied, because the chocolate is mixed with many things, but the cacao, especially back in the days, it was just cacao, period. Now it's like pure ceremonial cacao, but we make it tasty, we make it taste a bit like chocolate, put a little bit of healthy, not so bad sugar, right? And some spices and stuff, so it tastes good. And then there's the chemical part. It's not hallucinogenic, but it really something happens, like you really open up your heart and you get off your mind, but also because we sing, my ceremonies specifically are around music, heart songs, English heart songs. And I think music already itself has that effect, of taking us out of the mind, especially with those lyrics that are very uplifting. So, and then combined with the chocolate, with the cacao, and then it's just wow, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's real magic. And what makes the ceremonial cacao so special when you compare it to the Nesquik cacao you can buy, you know, the one that kids drink?
Well, the ceremonial cacao, so in Central America, like I cannot say much because I just use the Balinese because I've been here, but I know that they even bless it. They even bless it, like let's say if you go to Guatemala, you even get the blessed cacao, you know. But what I know, it's pure, and it's even before separating, let's say, the butter from the powder, you know. It's like very unprocessed. Here in Bali, they put it as a paste, like a big chocolate paste. But I've seen it also more like crushed nuts together. The one that my friend gave me from the Amazon in Brazil, it was almost like the nuts were crushed and then they made like a block, but you could see the pieces, the broken parts. And in Bali, it looks exactly like a chocolate. Yeah, you don't see the little. But it doesn't come with anything else other than cacao, like no other fats or like chocolate. Yeah, chocolate comes with so many other things.
And it's such a small amount of cacao.
Exactly. This is like 100%. It's cacao, period. Nothing else, no more ingredients. And then we put it in the pan just so it tastes better because cacao can be quite bitter. Yeah, and I am a bit attached to taste.
Yeah, yours was really tasty.
Yeah, just like chocolate, yeah. I put a bit of also coconut milk to make it
more creamy.
Yeah.
So originally they just used the cacao and water.
Yeah.
And now you can do your own little variation.
Yeah, I think we all do these days, yeah, especially because when you say cacao, people relate to chocolate. But I don't know what everyone's doing, but I know that in Bali, people do it like that. Yeah.
Do you have a ceremony how you prepare it, or what do you put inside? Like, is it?
Yeah, I've created together with my partner our like special recipe. And what we found, and it's a good tip, we boil the cinnamon sticks for a long time, and then it becomes brown. And you know that cinnamon sticks are sweet also, yeah? Like, so it's like a cinnamon sweet tea. Yeah. And then ginger and clove. And then we put the cacao when the water is already like brown, you know? And I think that's what makes the difference in my cacao. Yeah, because, many people say yours is the most delicious. But yeah, so that's what we do.
Because some people that have never done a cacao ceremony, that they get an image how much cacao is in one cup that you drink. How much do you use for one portion?
So, like, let's say I get a 1 kilo bar, and I calculate 25 people. 20 to 25, and that's why my cacao is super thick. But many people add much more water. I like it very thick, almost it's like very thick, so it's really strong. So 20 to 25 people.
1 kilo.
1 kilo.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot. Probably in the Nesquik it's maybe half a teaspoon.
And so much more of sugar and other like things that aren't so good for your health.
No.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. And how do you do your ceremonies? I mean, I've been in one, but how does it work when people come into a ceremony? What's the procedure they go through?
So back in the days, I heard that they would tell stories, and they would dance, and they would sing, but who knows exactly, right? But nowadays I feel that it really depends on the facilitator, and what is your passion, let's say. So I've seen like embodied movement with cacao, meditation with cacao, but my thing is music. I love to sing, and it's one of my favorite things. But also I feel it's important that we meditate in the beginning to kind of ground and arrive, in the space. So I start with the meditation, and then we sing the first song, which is usually the elements, earth, water, fire, air, like singing about these elements and feeling them, connecting with the elements which we are, which everything is, And then we drink the cacao, and then we have the release song to kind of, let go of all the stuff, unnecessary stuff that we've been carrying just out of conditioning, out of habit. And then I always sing the Ho'oponopono song, which is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and then sing it to everyone, to the mom, to the dad, the brothers, the sisters, to ourselves, to the partners, the ex-partners, anyone who hurt you, or vice versa, and to the earth. So there's usually like a sequence that really has been working well. So it's like a very therapeutic process, with the Ho'oponopono song, people go deep, super deep.
I still remember this song. It was so powerful, and it was also interesting to see how the body reacts to certain people you sing it to, because your heart is so open and you're so present. You don't think, you don't know what's happening. It's just coming out of you, and it's kind of overwhelming sometimes. When I was singing it to my mom, I was crying a lot, and then I was singing it to my dad, and the crying stopped. It was I was singing to myself, still not crying, and then I think we sang it to the ancestors.
Yes.
And then this overwhelming flow of emotions of pain came, and I could not even say a word.
Wow.
And then we continued.
Yeah. I think that stuff that comes up when we do any work like that, it comes out of the unconscious, the subconscious, stuff that we don't even know that is there. Maybe stuff that came in our DNA, or just, like maybe you didn't learn from your grandma. Maybe you didn't even meet your great-grandma, but somehow it's there, somehow.
Passed through generations.
And then in these beautiful things that we can do, like, how do you say, self-work, anything that self-development things, and ceremonies and stuff like that, these things come up, and you're like, what, right? I met a girl this week. I went to a birthday, and she's like, you're the girl from the ceremonies. I'm like, yeah. She's like, you have no idea. I never in my life had been in contact with my emotions, and it all started in your ceremony. And from there, everything changed. And I was just in goosebumps. And I was like, really? She said, really, from there, everything changed.
Wow.
She never allowed herself to be in touch with her emotions before. And it's not... And it happens in a very unforceful way, Like, I don't force anyone, I'm just singing. And most of the time we're with our eyes closed, right? It's so beautiful.
But also because you embody it so much, and you're sharing from such a deep place of your heart. That's why people open up so much, I think. Because you're really in this pure essence of love and sharing and holding space.
You remember there was a young girl in your group, that gorgeous young girl. She looked like a fairy. So we met again. She wants to start helping me so she can also learn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I did in the past. And she's gorgeous. We were talking, and I said, if I can tell you one thing about holding space, because she asked me, where can I learn how to hold space? I said, the most important thing about holding space is be yourself. Like, the more you are yourself, instead of, some people think it's the opposite. Oh, there's that girl, she's so good, I want to be like her. Or I have to learn skills. No, you have to be you. Because I think, and I've heard many times why people come to my ceremonies, is because they are unpretentious. I don't think, oh, I'm a guru, I'm superior, I'm going to teach them. I'm just like, I'm going to have fun with my friends from the band. We're going to sing it. We're going to feel so much love. We're going to tell jokes, because that's me. But if I was like, okay, now I'm spiritual.
Yeah.
Now I have to say this. Now I have to say that because I have to look spiritual.
Yeah.
Then
You're putting
nobody
yourself in a
would
box
like
again.
it. Exactly.
Also. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's why I resonated with you so much as well. And yeah, I felt the same when I started teaching. I tried to say something that this teacher said, it inspired me, and it started this sequence, and then I realized this is not me. This is like putting myself in a box again that I wanted so desperately to get out of. And then I started to be me, and even if left and right was wrong and I was laughing, and people liked just my energy and not the perfect sequence and the perfect role I thought I had to play. And I think it's in every job. It's not what you do, it's how and why you do it. And
exactly. Oh my God. I think you said something so beautiful just now, because I never thought that, let's say, people think, okay, let's say I'm an accountant and I hate it. Just an example. And then I go to Bali and then I find a new profession. Or I don't even go to Bali, but I become a coach or I become a yoga teacher. But if you are subscribing to the same beliefs, you're gonna end up pressuring yourself and even burning out. Because my partner did the same. He burned out the first time. He was very young in Sweden. And then he's like, okay, now I'm a coach. Now I'm working just with yoga teachers with their businesses. But he still was with the same beliefs, pressuring himself, not giving himself rest, not giving himself what he needed, what was the end of it? He burned out again.
Yeah,
and I myself also, 6 months ago, crashed. I even got sick. I got like lymph nodes growing under my jaw because I got a business partner who was like, we have to take this to the world. He has experience in this online world. He has had 40,000 people in his events, and he's like, let's do this, but you have to do this and you have to do. And then I crashed because then I was like, I was feeling like I was a product, that I was not a human being anymore. And I lost all the fun because I like to do it in my pace, in my way, you know. And even though he had all the knowledge, everything started going down because I was not doing it from the right place.
Yeah,
and I was super stressed. I lost the motivation. I was like, oh, I have to record this video. And then I'm just like, no way. And I crashed, I got sick, I got scared of getting sick because I didn't know what it was. Thank God it wasn't anything serious. But
your body's sending you signs. This
exactly.
is not the right
and
way.
Then we broke up the partnership, but very peacefully, very beautifully. Like it didn't serve him, it didn't serve me. And then I had to like take a break. Maybe I think it was 3 months. I could not think about it. Could not think about internet, ceremony, nothing, because I crashed. Yeah. And then this is such a beautiful lesson. I'm so glad you touched this because it doesn't matter what.
Yeah.
Really, you think, oh, she found cacao, oh, she found yoga, oh, she's leaving. Oh, come on, you have to really, really be honest with yourself and change your beliefs and respect yourself and treat yourself with love and compassion. And
self-love is a huge topic on this.
That's the one.
Because if you know you deserve a life with rest and in balance and in peace, then you create a life out of that. But if you subconsciously believe you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, then you always do more and try to fill that hole inside of you that can never be filled. Exactly.
And also there is so much guilt. My both parents, they were workaholics. So to them, I'm freaking lazy, you know? Really, because they don't know anything else, and I don't blame them. I don't judge them. That's their perspective. Exactly. That's the life that they've lived, and they think my mom, the last time she saw me when I left Brazil, she said, I need to tell you something. She was dropping me off at the airport, and she said, work is what dignifies a person. So first of all, she's thinking that what I do is not work. Yeah. And also that if I'm not working all the time, I'm not decent.
Wow.
But this is so strong. But after this corona thing, this, how do you say?
The pandemic.
Yeah, when everything stopped, my mom was so happy. She's like, I'm sewing again after 35 years without sewing. I'm making dresses for my goddaughter. Wow. I'm so happy. I'm painting. I'm this and I'm that. She didn't know it before because she was so conditioned. But when she had no choice, she found it amazing.
I think that happened to many people.
So many people.
Can she understand you better now?
Yes, way better.
Yeah, my grandparents were the same. They thought, they asked my parents if I'm in a cult or in a sect. They didn't understand yoga, so they were like, I think her brain is being washed. And asked, when are you going to be a teacher again? I said, I'm not going back. I'm not going back.
But you know, sometimes we judge just to repeat things, but sometimes we don't even believe, because deep in my heart, I feel like my mom admires it a lot, because my mom has always been spiritual, and she is super proud. But you know, sometimes those things come out of your mouth just because everyone says it, but maybe deep inside you don't even believe it, but we keep repeating those words.
Projection.
You know, projecting and.
So good. How could you manage not to let this too deep into your heart, to separate it? That is her opinion and yours is different, and you know you're still on the right path and you're doing the good thing. I
was not so easy, because it took me some years to kind of free myself, because it really mattered. Her opinion really mattered. It was super, super painful. But then I think it's time, you know, like, and my focus was to kind of, put myself first, not in an egoistic way, but like, I matter, like my choices matter, and this is what makes me happy, makes me feel good. So I have to work on this. Like, I can't make this, that affect this, you know. And then, it was all these years, you know, working on this, and I feel it's been maybe only a year that I don't get so affected. And funnily enough, she also shifted.
That's
Crazy,
the interesting part,
Crazy.
Right? Because maybe you also had some doubts left. That for me.
And
we always get it mirrored back. And as soon as we really step into it and live from a place where we truly embody it, then everyone else is shifting as well. My grandparents now, I mean, they're not like go for it, but they understand it better.
Yeah, exactly.
Since I truly stood up for myself.
Exactly.
And, the subconscious is so powerful.
And I think it's the energy. It's not what we're saying, but the energy, and people feel it. Like, say, if I'm completely 100% clear in my energy, like, no, this is it. No one's gonna argue. But if, like you said, if I have a little bit of doubt and question, then they'll pick it up, and then
exactly.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and I think part of your dharma is not only the cacao, it's your being to spread, because you spread so much light and joy. And I think even in your past jobs you did it. The way you told me what you did, it was still like you could express your soul in these jobs. And that's so important to understand, that it doesn't matter what you do exactly. But how and why you do it. And you can do this in every kind of job. And if you don't embody who you are, if you put your soul in a box, then you won't be happy in any job. No. You can move to a different country. You can live in Bali and be miserable.
Exactly. To me, the main word is joy. Like when I worked for 10 years with my brother in the studio, I brought my dog, everyone, when we didn't have a job, let's say, because when a job comes, then you have to like work a lot for 2 weeks and stuff. But then when there was no job, it was us, like the employees, the people who worked at the studio, the producer was a gay, amazing, fun guy. And we were just like singing and dancing, like having fun, you know? And to me, if it's not fun, then it's not worth it. But this is very personal. And the same, you can see that I have a lot of fun, in the ceremony. And also with the school that I taught English, my first job, the method was very like a theater. Like I could stand up and be funny and teach like that. The method was very like a drama school. I don't know how to put it. Like you're watching a play.
Nice.
And I was the actress. So I always found a way to kind of have fun, even if there was also something that was missing. But at least the fun was there, you know?
And that's so...
And and I tried to open a store in São Paulo. Before I worked with my brother, I tried to open like a store in the shopping mall with my sister. And that was not fun. And it's the period of my life that I lost my soul, mostly. Like that it was...
Because you lost your joy, right?
Yeah, because it was like, why? Why am I leaving? Like, doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there too. Even on the outside, it looked so nice. I opened a yoga studio with my new boyfriend, but inside I was dying. I lost this part of my soul as well, my creativity, my joy, my love. And sometimes we need to experience this to see what we don't want, to go for the dreams that we truly want.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the conditioning and the collective has to be smaller than your yearning for happiness and for purpose.
That's why you need your why. You need the reason why you do it, because that's always bigger than all the obstacles that come along the way. Because you always get up and say, it's not for me, it's about how many people I help with this, and the impact, the ripple effect of your work. You saw it with the girl that told you she had the access to her emotions for the first time. How big is that? I mean, sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this? A normal set life would be so much easier. And then I think, no, I have a big why, and this why keeps us going.
Yeah. So true.
Thank you so much for this conversation.
I'm still having goosebumps.
So the last question I ask my interview guests is, if you could be young again, you can imagine yourself as any age that arises right now, what would you tell this version of yourself that you know now but you didn't know back then, that would have helped you on your journey?
Wow. Wow, that's a deep one. I'm almost in tears. I would tell myself that I will never abandon myself. Because my greatest fear was abandonment, and my parents divorced, and I suffered immensely, and then my dad passed away, and he was my world 3.5 years ago, and I'm still here, like, happy, purposeful, having joy in my life, and I'm finding out more and more that I am the one to give me what I was expecting from my dad, or, you know? Yes, and I can parent myself. I will never abandon myself. And I wish I could tell that to that little girl that was so scared to lose daddy, you know? In the divorce, but also when he passed, I thought that I would just die or lose myself, and I'm still here, and I'm being good to myself, and I'm parenting myself, and I'm loving myself. Of course, not all the time, because I also have a human mind, and I judge myself, but the more I live, the more I know that I am the one supposed to do that for myself.
Wow. So
not my partner,
exactly.
Not my dad, no one.
And if we truly discover that we can hold ourselves in the biggest storms, I think we need to experience this to really feel the joy also, because the deep we can go, the up we can go, you know?
Exactly.
There's not only one side, and to be brave enough to really feel this deep grief and deep pain and loss and the fear of abandonment. I had the same. I think that's when we truly love and accept ourselves with all parts, and not only the sunshine parts.
Exactly. Yeah, when you embrace what you judge is bad, Let's say when you embrace your grief, your jealousy, whatever it is. That's the real love. Yeah. The real love is when you start, like, accepting the things that you judge.
The shadows.
Yeah, the shadows.
So powerful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I love this. Thank you.
So how can people connect to you and your work?
Bali Cacao Ceremonie on Instagram. There is the Soundcloud with the songs for free on Soundcloud, and you can also look for Bali Cacao Ceremonie. Every once in a while I hold an online ceremony for the ones who are not in Bali. So maybe people can write me and ask when the next one is, but I always post on Instagram. And
is it in English or in Portuguese?
Both.
Okay.
So, yeah. Both.
Nice. Yeah, I truly recommend this. I hope everyone gets to experience to have this at least once in a life with you.
Thank you. And it's my honor to be here. Like I told you before, like I resonate with you so much. You're such a beautiful being. It takes one to know one, yeah? And that's why I'm here, and I love this podcast. I love your energy. I love your questions. You are just a reflection of me. So yeah, thank you. You're beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ja, ich hoffe, dir hat dieses Interview gefallen und es hat dich genauso berührt wie mich. Und ich freue mich, wenn du mir deine Gedanken dalässt zu dieser Podcast-Folge auf I am Tanja Hirsch unter dem heutigen Post. Und wenn du bei einer Kakaozeremonie von Luciana dabei sein möchtest, ich habe alle Infos zu ihr in den Shownotes markiert und ich kann dir das wirklich von Herzen empfehlen, an einer Kakaozeremonie mal teilzunehmen. Auch wenn du vielleicht noch kritisch dem gegenüber eingestellt bist, dich einfach mal auf die Magie der Kakaozeremonie einzulassen und schauen, was passiert. Also schau gerne bei ihrem Instagram-Profil vorbei, auf ihrer Webseite, und wenn du bei der Kakaozeremonie dabei sein möchtest, in München, live und in Farbe, wenn es die Regelungen zulassen, dann melde dich gerne bei mir, findest du auch auf meiner Website. Ich mache den Link auch in die Shownotes für die Kakaozeremonie in München und ja, bis ganz bald. Alles Liebe, deine Tanja.